Hey y'all, I'm Christopher Gallardo with Hollywood Handle. How are you all doing today?
Good.
Good.
Great.
That's
I'm
so great to
doing
hear
absolutely
all of you.
fantastic.
Great to hear. Great to see all of you here today. And obviously, Ozzy is just a really touching film. I had an amazing time with watching it and just seeing everyone on screen. You, Emma, and you, Breeda, were just really amazing. And I just wanted to ask you first, as an introductory question, what was your Sundance experience like, and how was it showing the film? Where the sort of I think you guys have shown this film a few times before
Mhm.
Sundance, I believe, but how is it like showing the film for the first time there at Sundance?
Emma, you want to go?
Sure, I'll go. It was crazy. I feel like the biggest thing is like every time it shows in a different place, every audience has a different reaction. So I feel like it always keeps you like on your toes to see how the audience is going to react.
Yeah.
So it was just like the most like adrenaline filled part, I think. And then also to just be like surrounded by so many different creators and different parts of the industry. I feel like it just felt like welcoming and like understanding, I feel like. Yeah, I loved it. It was a fantastic experience. It was really good.
Oh, that's great to hear. How about you, Montana and Brita?
Emma, were your parents there?
My parents were there.
Oh, they were.
It was
What
very
did
cool.
Oh,
It was
how
very
was that
cool.
for your parents?
They loved it. They were just like smiling constantly.
Your
They
parents are so sweet.
yeah, I love them. I'm really glad they could be there for me. It was fun.
I think that it was really cool, yeah, seeing the reactions. I think Sundance is such a fun crowd because they really love movies and they really love, making art. And so they were really in kind of all the ups and downs of the story, and hearing them respond was really cool. And meeting the other filmmakers was really awesome, seeing the other films on the block. Um, I just think that Sundance is a very special place. So the screenings are sold out and there's like a big crowd there, which is like very not unusual, but sort of unusual for a short film. Usually that's like a movie that gets that kind of crowd. So it's really cool to have that many people show up for 14-minute films. And yeah, I loved hearing them laugh and giggle and ooh and ah and then get real quiet at the end. That's like my favorite part. I just think that
Mm.
like it's always just so magical. I love it. And then when the movie ends, depending on the crowd that you're in, you either get like, oh, or you get like whispers. Like everyone starts whispering to each other, which I love. It's like, I'm like, what are they talking about? What have they discovered in this film that they're whispering to each other? So it's pretty magical.
that's great to hear that you all had an amazing experience at Sundance. And I sort of want to talk about the film itself as well, because there's sort of a lot in depth thematically with all of this connectivity, all of the relationships as well. So I want to ask you, Montana, about your personal connection to the film and how you came up with this original idea for your short film as well.
Yeah, it was inspired by a connection I had with somebody when I was a senior in high school. And that relationship and connection is something that I've thought a lot about. And I just thought, oh, this is just too personal of a story. And so I wrote it alone in my room because I just had to get it out. And then I was working with a showrunner at the time who read some of that material, and he was like, you absolutely have to make this and you should go forward with it. So I have to credit him for giving me sort of that push of courage earlier on to explore the story more. And then I wrote it as a feature. And then I knew that because of my commercial and music video background, it was going to be really hard to get people to invest in a film if I didn't have a narrative reel. So I took a chunk out of the movie and made it into a short in order to really show people the tone, the how anxiety provoking some of it can be, how sensual some of it can be, and really like showing them the subtext of what was happening, and you can get away with that. So yeah, and then we made it. then we And then we put it together. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. And we did it for shoestring budget. And I'm so incredibly grateful that Emma, Breeda, Dior, and Steven and everybody else, all of our, Colin, our cinematographer, that everyone like put 110% into making it. And I think that getting into Sundance was like such a gift and such a it just meant so much that all of our hard work was seen in that way.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see how awesome and your performances, everyone's performances was in this film. And going as a filmmaker, you obviously have to have all of these challenges as well and learning all of these new lessons as a filmmaker as you're developing something new as well. So I also want to ask, what new things did you learn about yourself, your sort of relationships, and as well as your community as you were working on this film and the entire process of it as well?
Um, I think there's so oh my I feel like the answer to that's pretty long, so I'll try to be as short as possible. I think that always the lesson is you need more time and more money, and that's not really something you get a lot of control over. So that's just like a lesson you'll have till the end of time. But I think that one of the biggest things that was really important to me on the short was how proud I was of how well it was casted. I think that that was like one of the biggest lessons was like, and you picking the right people for the role is 90% of the job. And so I think that I was very proud of myself for making those choices and like, and just like picking these amazing people. Like, how did I get so lucky? Like what grace just like popped from the sky and plucked these people into my life. So I think that was like a really big lesson for me for anything is just you when you make stuff for like a studio they have so much say over who is in your material. And so sometimes, unfortunately, you have to work with people that aren't right for the role. And it's very frustrating and it's very hard and it's very unfair to the actor because you're asking them to do something they can't actually do. And it's not their fault. And so I just felt like so lucky to work with these actors because they are so amazing and they did such an amazing job on a time crunch, on low budget. And yeah, I think that that was like one of the biggest lessons. Like, oh, yeah, if you cast right, like this goes pretty well. That's my lesson. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah.
Oh, that's
Feel like I feel like Montana's being too humble. Be humble. But the when you do a short film, it's a small amount of time. And I think as much as I'd love to say that it's all I'm like, oh yes, it's the actors. Everything I touch is gold in a fucking Sundance Slam. But Montana's environment on set is a, a highly creative, highly thoughtful environment where everyone was able to do their best work. And I think that that comes in any project that you do from the creative force. You can put some stuff together, but it'll be almost like an accident. And there was nothing accidental about Montana's approach to this work and an approach to the content and approach to the way it was going to look and the way that we were going to relate to each other. I think in my experience working with Montana, it was a highly uh, creative and fostering everybody else's creative sort of endeavors inside the project, but also having a very strong point of view. And when you're in an environment like that as an actor, it's fun. And you can do your best work because you're allowed to do your best work. Somebody has made that space for you. And so I'm very thrilled and excited to see what Montana does next. It is like her set is a joy and a pleasure. Joy and pleasure is like very lovely, but also for me, joy and pleasure means a place that I can actualize what it is that I want to make in my life and my art. And so I think um, into the future of the oeuvre that is Montana Mann, I think that everyone should want to work with her because all the DPs, all the crew. I mean, we there was a celebration at the end of this because everyone had such an extraordinary time making this film, and I feel like. I don't know if that always translates to the screen. You watch beautiful things and you find out that everyone was having a terrible time. That can happen. But it this felt like a highly creative environment. And I think Montana and Steven created that environment for people.
I'm glad to hear that everyone really
Paid
enjoyed
her to say that.
collaborative
But
experience.
we
It's
paid
And
the Montana Steven movie world is the show. I highly recommend.
that's the ship we're sailing with, and it's the ship I'm excited to see go further in the future. And I just also have to ask this, Emma, Breeda, how did you come across Montana's work for the first time, and what really made you want to sort of get involved with this project in the first place as both Morgan and as Elizabeth?
Yeah, I just moved to LA when I saw like the casting call for it. It was on Actors Access, I think. So it
Yeah.
was like just yeah, one of those like daily scroll and I saw it and it just I feel like from the beginning it was like intriguing because there was like detail, but there wasn't any detail to it. So I was like, what is this about? And then I was just like, it seems so fun and I don't know. It was just like something that came at the right time. And again, I just moved to LA when it happened too. So I was like, I mean, it's like one of my first submissions, like just moving here. So like, who knows? And then it was such a quick process after that because just got the email and then we hopped on Zoom and then started the whole process. Um, and then obviously I did my deep dive on Montana and the whole production company. And everyone just seemed like such cool people to work with. So from the beginning, it was just so exciting.
Emma's tape, I think that when I saw Emma's tape, I was like, oh yeah, that's Morgan. And I don't think there was like, that's why that process was so
Hmm.
quick. And I think Steven can attest to this because they were like,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's like see other people. I was like, no, it's just like
Oh my
that's
It was a done deal
like
pretty quickly.
it was like immediately I saw her and I was like, it was she has a confidence and an ease to her. And I just the way that she handles things, and also like on set, I threw out a lot of stuff for her to improvise, and never once was she like, I didn't get the impression that she was like overwhelmed or anything. She was like, okay, yeah, let's just do this. And then she would like hit everything out of the park. Like she was it was pretty incredible. So, but that's like the energy she brought to her audition tape. And as soon as we saw it, I was like, okay, well, that's casted.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how we first met?
Oh man. Uh I moved I don't I'm like my brain was erased this past January. It was like maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I had just moved to Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
11, yeah, something like that.
I had just moved to Los Angeles. I feel like you had just graduated college or something.
I was in the process my last
In
year.
the process of graduating college. And we made a wacky ass slapstick like fall down comedy short together.
Yeah.
And I thought, dang, this woman is smart as hell. And I don't know, I just always liked Montana. I thought her approach to things were really interesting um and then I read the script and um I feel like there isn't a lot of scripts that I get or see that explores the how do I explain this? Like the fucked up side of um the adolescent female mind and how that it wants to explore power. And it's a part of my past and my experience that it's kind of beautiful and amazing and something that like I have a very keen understanding of. And I feel like you often see young women in these, there's so much YA content nowadays. And there's this like, you kind of see them as they're portrayed as kind of like vicious or like there's these tropes that seem to hang around. And it none of those tropes of the sort of young woman. Euphoria kind of explores some of these things in a more in-depth way, but you oftentimes see this like representation of young women that doesn't ring in the way that my experience did. And so this script felt like there was a place to explore some of the more taboo topics and what it means as an older woman to sort of recognize and identify like that part of a young woman and how that can be inappropriate if it's sexual, how that can be um like I don't know, there was a thousand leagues deep of the exploration of this short film. And it resonated with my, I don't know, fucked up adolescence. And I wanted to see the character that Dior plays. I wanted to see her. I wanted to, it's weird because I wanted to see that as me, Breeda, but then also me, Elizabeth. Like, I wanted to, there's something satisfying for me in this character to see a young woman explore danger, dominance, adult dynamics from the perspective of a young woman. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a topic that I think is really cool. And it's also, I think that we're in this like really epic era of female filmmaking right now, where there's a lot of topics that we haven't seen before. And we see it in like the horror world. And there's a lot of places where all of a sudden you get this little influx of women auteurs, writing and directing their own shit. And then all of a sudden you get this fucked up thing about, that's
Yeah.
coming from Montana's personal experience too. So I think it's I don't know. I don't know how to we've seen this type of exploration in the past and like French New Wave cinema is like almost all entirely about this, but it's entirely from the perspective of a male auteur. And so I just think it's different. I think it's different. I think it's different and I think it's exciting and I think it's like I want to see a hell of a lot more of it. And I think it's happening in the TV realm in some like books to TV. I feel like there's been like what's her name? To Die For. What's her name?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole
Yeah.
Kidman. I feel like Nicole Kidman sees and identifies it and tries to create this in her production company.
She does.
Um, yeah,
She's
I feel like
actually employing all female directors, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
You
with
see her identify and like, you know, uh creating this work, but it's from literature, and yeah, I feel like Montana's in that kind of world, but you have the extra super sauce of it being a auteur. I feel like a total dickhead saying the word auteur.
Oh, it's
If I say the word auteur one more time, I have to cry myself. This is like whatever the fuck. I took a film 101 class a little while ago.
I'll
Whatever.
take it.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like it.
Cool.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
really
we haven't heard from you. What's happening, Steven?
I
yes.
know, I know.
Oh, I have something to say about Steven.
Oh God.
Um, I showed up and Steven was like so knowledgeable about every like you'd watched movies like
Yeah.
you'd watch deep cuts that I had made. Like I don't know, you had like a you don't always walk on and have a producer like that sort of dialed in. It felt like lo dialed in with love is my experience with Steven.
Yeah,
Well,
Steven, that's I second that. He's the best. Sorry, Steven, go ahead.
it never feels like work
We're just
because of
not
the
going to
love
let
is
you
there.
speak at all. I'm going
I
to
just
give you the opportunity to speak, but then
Um,
just not.
well, when we were first casting, I was texting Montana. I was like, "What about have you like what do you know about Breeda Wool?" I'm like, "Have you seen Mass? Have you seen Birth Rebirth?" It's like, "What do you think for Elizabeth?" And then Montana was like, "I know Breeda." And then it was just kind of like fate in that way that I was like
yeah,
suggesting someone that Montana had known and worked with, and
yeah.
it
Yeah,
felt
and it
very
was
organic to the movie in that way.
yeah, it was really there was like a whole bunch of little connections like that like earlier on when making the film. Um that was one of the main reasons I really liked Steven, but also just because like what Breeda said, he likes movies and you don't meet a lot of producers that actually like movies.
Which is weird, but
Ironically,
um,
Which is weird.
ironically.
Yeah, ironically, but
but we
it's
we also all kind of treated this process like it was a feature. I think you kind of get some people that come in, it's like, oh, this is a short film, and we all took it, we had fun, but we all took it very seriously and like it was a feature film. And I think Sundance was a payoff for how we treated the film.
Definitely.
I knew it. I was like, this film fucking rules. And I'm so happy that it premiered and then premiered again at Sundance. Like
yeah.
I've never even heard of that happening before. I was like,
There's a
oh,
few other people that happens to, and I think it's because for
I
short they don't have to have a world premiere, but I think that it's about like a community talking about those films, and then
yeah.
also Sundance knowing I think what their name means, and that if they can help champion a film, that they know how like much that's going to change that filmmaker's life.
I've seen a lot of yeah, Sundance still I think especially in the short realm and Montana, you can tell me I still haven't figured heard your experience yet, like of Sundance like holds up those filmmakers. It's a
Yeah,
huge, I mean,
they
it's a
do.
still a huge place that feature films
Yes.
can get sold. So there's
Yeah.
like a your business thing occurring with the feature films, but I feel like the short films there are still like, who's the
But
next voice?
yeah, definitely. I also think that there's not a lot of pressure on a short film. Like getting in is just winning, and then they make it such a great environment that it's just an amazing experience for a week, you know. But we don't have like the same pressure that feature films have, which is those reviews and those um trying to sell it, getting distribution. So I think that it's a lot more fun probably as a short film director going to Sundance than maybe a feature director if you don't have distribution already.
Yeah, but hey, you all had fun doing it, and
Yeah.
honestly, we're I'm just happy that I can get to do this with you because the film, as said before, is just really incredible with all of these deep themes as well, with all of these interpersonal relationships, all of like this self-reflection and trying to also sort of find yourself in those relationships as well. Was there any scene besides the ending that really resonated with you as you were all filming it and as you were getting into that moment as well?
I'll let everybody else speak first. I think it was the ending for me that I was like that when we shot that scene. I'm gonna say everybody else can speak first, and then of course I'm gonna start speaking. But what what I when we shot that scene, it was so quiet on set. And I remember, I think it was Breeda said, that was really quiet. And it was like you could hear like, a pin drop on set of how quiet it was. And I think that that's to me the moment that I realized what we had done was really magical. Because there was just like shooting that scene, I was like, like I couldn't breathe while watching
Mhm.
it. And I just thought, man, if that's how I'm feeling, like the audience is going to feel this way too. And I think they do. So that was really like a aha moment for me when filming it that we had really tapped into something that was really interesting and unique.
I think fighting with
Oh, Ben.
Ben.
Hmm.
Yeah, the dinner table scene.
I think fighting with Ben mm, like made it very clear. And also we were in the way we were lit, we were outside and I couldn't see the camera very well and I couldn't see the crew very well. It was the way that it was lit felt like we were alone and looking at Emma and Dior and then being an adult and fighting with another adult for this sort of pleasure or stimulation of a like game that I'm playing with this girl and looking at Emma and seeing how that was like painful for Emma, but doing it anyway. The whole thing was like felt in the moment. I was like, it was a moment where I was like just very in the world of the movie. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I felt the fucked upness of it.
Yeah.
I liked it. And I felt that how much I liked it. And so when you do movies where you're exploring sensations or feelings that you would never normally get to do, like hurting people, being paid. Like, I mean, I just don't hurt people in my real life. I mean, maybe I do. Maybe I do and I don't know it. Maybe I'm
Ever.
a narcissist and I'll find out later. But no, but like, in the film world, you get to do a lot of shit that you don't get to do in your real life. And that sort of destruction of a family, the destruction of this girl and her dad, uh, like their relationship, and I don't know, just the knowing that I'm destroying all these worlds and just doing it anywhere and kind of enjoying it, um, was a sensation it's very intense. And interesting. Is that if we're explorer of worlds, that was an explorer of world for me, for sure. And
Yeah, go,
that I
go.
would choose not to take back into my real life.
It, a lot of it too was just, I think, like the experience as a whole, like because there was so much, you read so many scripts where the writers are like so heavy-handed, and it must be because they're given a bunch of notes to like make this clearer for the audience. And what was so beautiful about this was how much subtext there was in the film. And for Montana to trust that and let it be and let the audience go along and just get it rather than spoon feed them information, and like to be able to have those conversations around what the movie means or what it's trying to say. It was just like kind of that Montana really trusting her gut and instincts there to let the audience get it rather than kind of tell them.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say also about the dinner table scene. I feel like we all were just so in it. Like I feel like on my end, while it was all happening, I was trying to like make eye contact with Dan, who played Ben, like to be like, "Do you know what's going on? Because I don't know what's going on." Like I feel like in this film alone, I feel like there's just so much to do with like eye contact and like just the way like I don't know, eyes work or like just like how even in the last scene, I remember somebody asked at Sundance, like eye contact is a big thing in this film, like what go more in depth about that. And I feel like it's just like it brings the audience a feeling of like what are they thinking or like what's going on behind their eyes or like I don't know, it just opens up so many questions. So I feel like just being able to explore that in the dinner table scene was I don't know. It was just a very interesting feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of got a bit of those. I have no idea if you guys saw I saw the TV glow, but I feel like I sort of got some of those sort of those undertones with those scenes, but I really felt the sort of connection, the original connection as well with those two scenes and the way that it sort of adapts those underlying ideas is just really interesting. And I just loved how that those scenes were written. And being and on the more lighthearted side of things, you all must have had some really memorable and cherished times together on set when you were on set, but you weren't really filming. So I just got to ask you, what were some of your favorite and memorable times that you guys shared together on set?
I feel like everything was memorable and fun and cool. Like even if there was pressure to get shots or we were running out of time or whatever it was, like I think that I just had so much love and respect for everybody that worked on the film that it really felt like such a great atmosphere. And yeah, I can't say enough like how much I really loved everyone that worked on this film. Like it just felt so right and being with everybody. And I think that I don't know, I had fun all the time. Even if it was stressful for like we got to get this shot, the sun's going down or whatever, it was still fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else wants that. I know that one thing that was very cool was that Dior and Emma hung out before we started filming. They didn't know each other before the film, but when we realized they were both casted, I think it was Dior who recommended this. I can't really remember, but she was like, "Oh, I'd love to get to know Emma before we shoot so that we can have a rapport." And I thought that that was just one so mature and amazing and so helpful as a director that you don't have to force two people that don't know each other in that split moment to be best friends and improvise, even though that's what actors do. But I just thought it was so cool that they went out of their way before we shot to build that relationship. And I think that that just really helps when making the film because it allowed them to improvise and laugh and goof off. So
It was a 10 out of 10 experience. I feel like if you ever need to like have any sort of relationship with somebody before you go on set with them, I feel like you just have to do something. We went to a dance class, which was
yeah,
even like it was so fun. And it's such an icebreaker too, because then like on the first day of set, it's like I remember being lost at one point. Like I was like, I don't know where to go. So I texted her and it was like we already had that bond made.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
that's
just
pretty cool.
just
I love that. I think that was a really magical
yeah, I
thing.
agree.
And then I also think that another really cool thing was just hanging out with Breeda. It had been a moment since we had hung out and our careers were doing different things. And so just being able to hang out with her, you know, and how much time had gone by and talk about like how much our work has changed and evolved and all that kind of stuff, like that was very, very magical behind the scenes moments for sure.
It was. We had fun.
We did have fun.
We had fun. It was also like we shot it, some of it was shot in Montana's house. And Montana's uh dad and stepmom came and my kid came and my partner came and Dior's dad was there.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
Dior's dad was there. There was like a sometimes when there's like a sense of strong sense of community, it can you're like, is everyone doing their best work? And this was one of those occasions where it's like super strong sense of community and everyone's doing their best work, which is like what a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
That,
dream. You know what I mean? I don't know. Everyone was, there was a lot of also Dior w was 17 when we made
I know.
it.
I
So there was an aspect
incredible.
of people being conscious of that.
Yeah.
And 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 her I mean Emma's also super young, you know, and this is a movie that's about like young young women. And we there was a 17-year-old and how old were you when you made this? 20 or something? You're like so, you know,
Yeah,
and
I think.
yeah, so there was some love and care around that, I think. And some approach that was like felt like let's make sure that everybody's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
let's like which we should do with adults on any set as well. You know what I mean? But the idea that we're doing this sort of taboo kind of themes, but actually with talent like Dior, you know, who's also in that re world really. Um, the care was really interesting. I don't know. And
Yeah.
Montana did it like in extraordinary proportions.
One more question. to just one more question to ask you guys. What do you guys want audiences to really take away and resonate with when it's fully sent out to the public and possibly distributed out worldwide as well?
Um, I think that different people are going to have different feelings when watching the movie, and I think all of those answers are correct. So I never want to tell an audience member how they should feel when watching a movie because I also think that sometimes I'll watch a movie and get something from it that no one else gets, and that's special to me and how I interpreted it. So I I hesitate to say what I want someone to feel, but I do think that all answers are correct. So if something is interesting or turns you on, correct. If something makes you uncomfortable, correct. And I think that you walk away from the movie being okay that you're not going to have all the answers. And like that's part of the human experience is that sometimes people do things and we really want to know, well, what's the meaning of what they did? And like, why did they do it? And like, we really want like a concrete answer, but being human just doesn't work that way. It's just, we don't get those answers in real life.
Definitely. What about you, Emma, you, Breeda, and even you, Steven?
I mean, I 100% agree with what Montana said. I feel like I always walk out of a movie with a different opinion than other people, and everyone just has a different thing they take away from a film that they watch. I hope it inspires people to create more things like it. Um, I feel like nowadays I feel like a lot of people are straying away from like silences in films, like awkward silences. So I feel like especially for filmmakers or like aspiring filmmakers, I feel like I just would love for them to just be inspired by it and want to create something on a similar basis.
That's great to hear, and I just love those answers so much. So I just gotta say for all of you, for you, Steven, for you, Emma, you, Brita, and you, Montana, thank you so much for your time with me today. I had so much fun talking with you guys and just getting to know you as well. So it's been so much fun. Thank you guys so much again. And I'd love to do this again in the future if y'all are up for it. But
We'll
Thank
thank
do
you
you.
it.
so much
Thanks,
again. And
Christopher. Thanks for
For
Thank
having
you.
us.
movie.
Thank you.
nice
Love
meeting you
talking
all.
about it. I love talking about it. Thank you for being interested in the film and for helping us promote it and giving us your time. So I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you.